And we continue with the National Library of Finland, and I'm glad to invite Inkeri on the podium. Inkeri Hakulinen is the super librarian of National Libraries Koha, and we are privileged, of course, as a developer team to have someone a very skilled super librarian working with us, because it is a thing that really requires the developer skills and then someone who really knows what happens on the circulation desks. And yes, Inkeri will talk us about the Koha in the National Library.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Inkeri Hakulinen, and I work in the National Library of Finland, and I'm a Koha super librarian. And I thought that it's a good idea to tell you something about our library as a Koha user. So that's what I'm going to tell you. So as you see from the logo, and perhaps knew already, as a library we're quite old, about 380 years old. So, but our history with Koha is naturally much shorter. We have been using Koha for about exactly 4 years now. And before that, we had, of course, good preparations to switch from Voyager to Koha. And as you already heard, we have developer team in National Library, and they provide Koha services to 16 other libraries in Finland as well, but also to us as a national library. So I'm really just a librarian, but we work closely with the developers. So, and of course, because we are so big library, we have other super librarians and very skilled librarians. So I'm not really all alone in this. So what kind of a library we are? We have over 9,000 people that have our library card. And mainly we serve students and researchers, but also all the people who need our collections, because we have lots of old books from Finland, so there might be someone who searches for their relatives or something that their grandma has published 100 years ago or something like that. So we're open to everyone, so anyone can get a card to us. And who uses Koha in our staff? Well, over 120 people from our staff use Koha. The modules we use mostly are circulation, acquisitions, collection management. But as Esa-Pekka already referred, the actual cataloging is done in Melinda, and then the bibliographic records are just copied into our own Koha database. But Koha database is where we do all the circulation and so on. And all the items are in there, of course. So our collections are huge. We have over 3 million books, over 3 million other resources, and they take over 115 kilometers in shelves. So that's a lot. And the collection grows almost at the rate of 1 kilometer per year. Yearly, about 10,000 books are published in Finland, and also 300 newspapers and 4,000 magazines. We collect all of them. It's because of our legal deposit laws that grant us the copies of everything that is published in Finland. And we have the duty to keep them safe and keep them accessible to future generations as well. Yeah. So there's a brief summarization about what our collections are, but I have to say that these are mostly those that are present in Koha, so not all of our materials are in Koha, but we also have other systems. So the national collection is the most important, of course. It's based on the legal deposit laws, so it includes all the materials published in Finland. So it's books, magazines, newspapers, games, records. It includes the Finnish National Sound Archive as well. So it's all kinds of materials, very different kinds of materials. Then, of course, we also collect digital collections, but mostly they are not in Koha, so I'm not going to talk about them more, but I just mentioned that we have those too. Then we have special collections. They include our oldest deposit copies and other really old materials as well. Then we have the Slavonic Library, and its roots are actually at the deposit laws that were present at the 19th century. So we have lots of books that were published in Russia that day, and now it's what we do now is we collect more books, and it's serving research related to Eastern Europe and Russia. But we have some quite rare collections there as well, something that might be only accessible at our library. Then we have the humanities collection, because we're a research library serving students and researchers. So we have philosophy, languages, history, etc. And that's what we constantly buy in every year as well. And it's in different languages. So if someone is more interested about our collections, there's a link so you can read more about them there. Yeah, so because of the big collections, we of course have a big database. I'm not sure how many these big Koha libraries there are, but I suppose that we have one of the biggest Koha databases there are. We have about 3.3 million bibliographic records, 2.3 million holdings records, and 2.3 million items records. So that's a lot of data to take care of. And if you wonder about the holdings records, my colleague Tarja will be having a presentation about them later at KohaCon. What comes to lending, we're maybe not so big and not so busy. We have about 25,000 loans per year and about 300,000 renewals per year. And most of our collections are not in open shelves, but in the closed storages that are not accessible by customers. So our customers have to make holds so that they can get the materials brought up to them. So then, because of all of this, we have reading room loans that we try to manage in Koha. And it's proved to be not so simple. It would be thought that, okay, this is just easy as it is, but it's actually quite complicated. We have lots of different types of materials, something that we borrow to customers so that they can take their loans home. But then we have lots of materials that we have to keep safe, and we want to keep them inside the library. And also we have different kind of reading rooms, and some of the materials go there and some go there and so on. For example, we still have lots of microfilms that are used. So those are delivered to the reading room that has the equipment to read the microfilms, of course. However, we aim for customer clarity, so that when they go to our OPAC, they already see that, okay, this material will be delivered to this reading room, or this is something I can borrow home. We try to make that as clear as possible for the customer. And also we want that the customers see from their own loans if they already have some item, either at home or at the reading room, and which reading room. So, despite we're just one library, just one building, we had to think this through before we went to Koha. How do we manage this? We wanted everything to be in the Koha system, not to deal with the paper slips like we used to do before that. But we thought about it, and this is what we came up with. So we actually have multiple Koha branches in National Library. So one branch is for home loans, one branch is for the reading room A and reading room B, and so on. So every reading room has their own branch. Also, the storages have their own branches, so that everyone knows what to pick up from where and where will that be delivered. 4 years ago, we first tried Koha's built-in on-site loans, because we found out that there is function for reading room loans. However, with some updates, we found out that it didn't work as we want it to be, because we wanted our customers can renew their reading room loans as well, and so on. It proved to be tricky. Also, the circulation rules didn't quite support the use that we had for the reading room loans. So now they're just like ordinary loans, but we try to make the separation differently through branches and so on. Anyway, these seem to cause problems every now and then. Something unexpected pops up, and then we try to figure out what to do with those. It's clearly something that we do, something quite unique we try to do with Koha, and so it's, at least it keeps our developers busy and us too. So I collected some settings that were got to get these reading rooms working. First of all, our item types are not defined by the type of the material, like I think that usually they are. We don't have books, records, magazines, and so on, but we have home loanable reference materials only for reading room use and home loanable in closed storages. So they're by the use of the material. And then, as I said earlier, we have multiple branches that we use. So all the closed storages are their own, and each reading room are their own branch, and so on. And then, of course, we get to use the library transfer limits. We have restrictions on what item types can be delivered to which pickup places, and so on. So actually it works quite okay, because when customers make holds, the drop-down menu only shows them what are their options for that material. So it already prevents people to make wrong holds there. And also it helps us librarians, because we see that, okay, this is not supposed to be delivered in this branch at all. Then system preferences, I think that we have at least different than our colleague libraries in other academic Koha libraries in Finland, at least. So checkout and fine rules are by the holding library, so where the item has last been seen. It's because some of the materials can be used either in home or someone else might have them at reading room loan. And then the circulation and hold rules are defined by the branches. So it's a bit different for some of the branches. But also we can now have different notices for home loans and reading room loans, so that when the customer receives the email that, okay, now your book is here, the email tells them a bit more about the situation. So the email might tell that, okay, this one is in the special reading room and opening times are this and this, or it can tell that, okay, your reservation is ready to pick up for home loan and you can find it here. So it's quite handy. And for example, of course, we don't collect fines from the reading room loans, because there's no point, because the books are in our library. Yeah, and also few words about our library system infrastructure. We don't use Koha to everything, our library. Koha is just one puzzle piece in the whole system. So Melinda Aleph is used for cataloging. So it's collaboration with other libraries in Finland, and the bibliographic records that we also have get copied to our Koha database. But then when the bibliographic records arrive in Koha, then of course we make the holding records and items for that bibliographic records. And also, of course, the circulation and customers are taken care in Koha, and all the reports are handled in Koha, and acquisitions as well. But then we don't use Koha's own OPAC at all, because we have this magnificent Finna that is also developed in the National Library of Finland. So we have just plugged Finna into our Koha, so that Finna shows all our Koha data for customers. And our data can be found both in our own FinnaView, kansalliskirjasto.finna.fi, and also in the finna.fi, which is covering collecting all the most of the Finnish libraries and many museums and archives, all their metadata into one place. Then it's really good to have both developers and the users in the same organization and same building, because it's really easy to communicate between the different teams and ask for support both sides to understand why this is so complicated, or why this is like that in Koha. So I think that we have a bit deeper understanding of each other's tasks, because we can communicate so openly. And sometimes it's really close-up problem solving and developing and testing, looping, because it's just easy to walk to the circulation desk and see what's happening there, and also the developers can see from their server side what's happening there, and so on. So it's not one or two times that I've been trying to figure out some problems with Andri and his team side to side. So it's a really good thing. Yeah, so that was about that. And I'm happy to answer your questions. Although if you have really detailed questions about our collections, then might be that I have to redirect you to our library, but anyway.
Hello. Yes, I was wondering if you try to use the circulation desk in Koha to solve your issues with several reading room learns, because I know that in France, Bulac is a huge library too, and she develops this thing in Koha, the circulation desk. And you can associate all the old pickup with a specific circulation desk. So I wonder if it can be useful for you.
Thank you for the tip. Actually, we have not tried it, but maybe it's something that we could investigate. However, I'm not sure how it works with the different kind of circulation rules we have for different branches. So, but it's worth finding out. Thank you. Okay, if not, then I'll just thank you, and I hope that many of you will be seen tonight in here. Thank you.